It was a quiet night. The kind of night where silence inside the house feels louder than any noise outside. Every tick of the clock pressed against my chest. Every sigh of the floorboards seemed to echo what I refused to admit. I was lonely. I sat in the living room, a book open in my lap. Pretending. Pretending to read. Pretending to be okay. Pretending my husband's distance was just a phase. But it wasn't. He had been gone for months, not physically, but emotionally. His body still came home, but his heart was elsewhere. And loneliness is a hunger no one sees. It creeps quietly, eats slowly, until one day you realize you are starving. That was the night I heard it. A sound from downstairs. Not the groan of the pipes or the rattle of the fridge. No. This was different. A cough. Weak. Followed by a shuffle. James. My tenant. 24 years old. Polite. Hard-working. And far too handsome for me to ever admit noticing. But that night, he didn't sound strong. He sounded fragile. I hesitated outside his door, my knuckles hovering before I finally knocked. Soft. Careful. The door opened. And I saw him. Pale skin. Tired eyes. That weakness that pulls at a woman's heart before she has time to shield herself. James, I whispered. You don't look well. He tried to brush it off with a smile. But I couldn't walk away. Something in me wouldn't let me. So I did what came naturally. I made soup. I found medicine. And I carried it to him, convincing myself it was nothing but kindness. But when I handed him the bowl, his hand touched mine. And lingered. Just a second too long. The air shifted. His eyes found mine. Searching. Pleading. And suddenly I wasn't a landlord. I wasn't a married woman. I wasn't too old to know better. I was just a woman starving for tenderness. I told myself to leave. To stand up, to walk out. But my body refused. His breath warmed my wrist as I set the bowl aside. And then, his fingers brushed mine again. So small. So innocent. And yet my whole body trembled. He whispered, almost apologetic. You don't have to stay. But the truth was. I wanted to. I smoothed the blanket across his chest, but my hand lingered. I felt the heat of his skin through the thin fabric. Felt his heartbeat racing beneath my palm. And I realized it wasn't just him. It was me too. Our eyes locked. And in that silent exchange, a door creaked open inside me. A door I had kept bolted shut for years. His hand rose, hesitant, brushing mine. Not demanding. Not forceful. Just asking. And I didn't pull away. The closeness was unbearable. Delicious. Every inch of space between us begged to disappear. And when I leaned the smallest fraction closer, I swear, the world stopped spinning. Our lips didn't meet immediately. No. First came the pause. That trembling anticipation where every breath feels like it might break you. The warmth of his breath mingling with mine. The weight of a choice pressing down, whispering one move, and nothing will ever be the same. And then, finally, the spark. A kiss. Not rushed. Not wild. But soft. Searching. As if our souls were remembering something we were never supposed to know. It wasn't comfort anymore. It was need. It was hunger. It was me giving in to everything I had denied myself for far too long. And as I melted into him, I knew this was no accident. This was the beginning of something I could never take back. I was old enough to know better. But young enough inside to ache for what I wasn't getting at home. That night with James, I stopped pretending. But tell me, have you ever felt it? That dangerous spark with someone you weren't supposed to? That pull you can't explain, but can't ignore? Drop your truth in the comments. I read them all. And if this story is already stirring something inside you, like this video, subscribe, and turn on that bell. Because what happens next, you won't want to miss. After that night, I thought maybe it would fade. That once James recovered, life would snap back into place. But nothing felt normal anymore. The way he looked at me. The way his touch lingered in memory. The way my skin still burned where his hand had been. The next morning, When he smiled at me, weak but grateful, I felt something shift. A few days later, when his strength returned, he stood in my doorway. His voice soft. "Samantha, let me thank you." I laughed. Shook my head. "There's nothing to thank me for." But his eyes didn't move. Steady. Unblinking. "No. There's everything to thank you for. You didn't have to stay that night. But you did. That weekend," he insisted. Not boyishly. Not casually. But with quiet determination. He wanted to take me out. "Just brunch," he said. "Just gratitude." I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it was innocent. But when I walked into that little cafe with him at my side, every head turned. Not because of who we were, but because of how we looked together. He pulled out my chair. His fingers brushed mine across the menu. And when I laughed at his story, it wasn't polite. It was real. The kind of laughter I hadn't shared with my husband in years. After brunch, we walked the park. The sun warm. The breeze playful. And every step felt like it belonged to another life. When we crossed the street, his hand settled at the small of my back. Guiding. Protective. It shouldn't have mattered. But it did. My body betrayed me. Every simple gesture felt like a secret caress. And when dusk pulled us into the glow of a jazz bar, I didn't resist. Inside, the music was smooth. Soulful. Intoxicating. We sat close. Too close. His arm brushed mine again and again, like a song I never wanted to end. And then, the music slowed. The crowd blurred. His eyes turned to me, heavy with something unspoken. Our faces leaned closer. Too close. My lips parted. The moment was ready to collapse into a kiss. And then I pulled back. Restraint left me trembling. Because in that instant I knew this wasn't gratitude. This wasn't kindness. This was something far more dangerous. But let me ask you, do you believe in innocence? Do you think two people can share a weekend together without crossing the line? Tell me honestly. I'll be watching the comments tonight. When James asked again, my heart betrayed me. This time, it wasn't brunch. Or music in a crowded room. This time, it was a movie. The cinema was dark, hushed, almost sacred. His arm brushed mine once. Twice. Then his hand rested open, waiting, near mine. I told myself to focus on the screen. But how could I? Every flicker of light only deepened the shadows between us. Minutes stretched like hours. Finally, I leaned. My head against his shoulder. The warmth of him, overwhelming. The steady rhythm of his breath stirring strands of my hair. The silence around us trembled. By the time the credits rolled, I realized neither of us had seen a single frame. Back at my house, I invited him in. Just tea, I told myself. But the hallway betrayed me. That narrow space became the longest walk of my life. He stood too close. I leaned against the wall, chest rising, falling. His eyes locked on mine, daring me to stop him. Our lips hovered. Close. Closer. So close I could taste the promise. And then, restraint. We stepped back. The fire caged, but not extinguished. That night, I thought maybe the storm would quiet. But storms don't vanish. They wait. And the next evening proved it. Because James wasn't at my door. He was outside. With her. The neighbor. Her smile too bright. Her laugh too loud. And James noticed. His hand brushed her back as they walked to her car. And inside me, something twisted. Something sharp. I had no claim. I was his landlord. A married woman. A woman who should have walked away. But jealousy doesn't ask permission. It burns. And that night, I burned. When he returned, I couldn't stop myself. The words tumbled out, sharp, breathless. Why her, James? Why do you give her what you know belongs here? He froze. Guilt. Frustration. It was nothing, he pleaded. But it wasn't about her. It was about us. The lines we kept pretending weren't already crossed. Later that week, he came to me again. At my office, after hours. The building silent. Too silent. He said he couldn't leave things broken. Words unraveled into silence. Silence unraveled into nearness. A stack of papers slipped to the floor when his hand brushed mine. Our eyes locked. The distance between us thinned. And then, a knock. Sharp. Loud. I jumped back. Just a delivery man. But the spell was broken. And yet, the fire remained. James leaned close. Whispered against my skin. This doesn't feel like fantasy to me. And in the reflection of the hallway glass, I realized we weren't alone. Rumors spread faster than truth in small towns. And lately, I felt them circling. The too long stares. The hushed voices. The friend who finally asked, "Samantha, it's not your husband, is it?" My heart sank. The secret pressed heavier than loneliness ever had. It wasn't freedom anymore. It was fire. And fire leaves marks. So I agreed to meet James. One last time. Not in the kitchen. Not in the office. But somewhere the night alone could hold our secret. When I saw him, my chest tightened. There was sorrow in his eyes. But something unshakable, too. As if he already knew what was coming. We didn't speak. We just reached for each other. His touch was reverent. Memorizing me. Etching my name into his skin. Our lips met. Slow. Lingering. Desperate not to let go. Every kiss was a question. Every sigh, an answer I couldn't say aloud. It wasn't wild. It was sorrowful. Longing wrapped in goodbye. And then, the choice. Tragic ending. I pulled away, tears stinging. I can't, I whispered. I can't burn everything I've built, even if it's empty. James nodded, silent, jaw tight. And I walked away. Each step heavier than the last. Hopeful ending. Or maybe I stayed. I let the fear fall. And when his arms closed around me, I realized safety had been my prison all along. And love, even forbidden love, is the only freedom. So I confess. Sometimes the heart wants what the world says it shouldn't. Sometimes, one night is enough to rewrite your whole life. But tell me, my friend, would you have stayed? Or walked away? Drop your truth below. I read every word. And if this story touched you, like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes in love that bends the rules. Until next time, stay with me.